All right, let's dive into something that's a huge part of any researcher's life, but can honestly feel a bit confusing at first: the literature review. We're going to demystify it together.
You've probably been there, right? You see that phrase on a syllabus or a project outline, and you get that little feeling in your stomach.
That feeling of, okay, where on earth do I even start with this thing? If that sounds familiar, trust me, you are not alone. It's a classic hurdle. But the good news, it's a skill you can absolutely master. Hey, I'm Dr. Tazim Shahbaz, and I'm here to help you out. I want you to think about literature reviews in a totally new way. Not as some single, scary task, but as a set of really cool, specialized tools. So, in this explainer, we're going to open up that toolkit and see what's inside. So, first things first, before we check out the tools, we need to lay down a solid foundation. What is a literature review really? This definition right here has the secret sauce. A lit review is so much more than a book report. It's this powerful mix of summary, we're recapping what others have found, and synthesis, which is where you connect the dots and create a bigger picture of the conversation on your topic. And you know, this brings up a really crucial point. A literature review is like being a great reporter, telling us what the conversation has been so far. A research paper, on the other hand, is you actually stepping into that conversation with your own new idea or finding. The lit review is the launchpad. Now here's where things get really fun. A literature review is not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. The tool you pick from the toolkit depends completely on what job you're trying to do. So let's do it. Let's explore that toolkit. We're going to take a quick tour of 6 of the main types of literature reviews, and we'll figure out when and why you'd want to use each one. Okay, first up we have the argumentative review. Think of this as your tool for persuasion. You're not just reporting, you're building a case. You might use it to argue, for example, that all the past research on remote work totally missed the boat on how it affects city economies. You've got a point to make, and you're using the literature to back it up. Next in the toolkit is the integrative review. This one is the great synthesizer. Its whole purpose is to pull together different studies to create something brand new, like a new model or a fresh perspective. Imagine taking research from psychology and sociology to build a completely new way of understanding how online communities work. That's integrative. Then we have the historical review. This is your time machine. With this tool, you're tracing an idea through time to see how it's evolved. For instance, you could trace the whole idea of sustainability from its early days in the 70s environmental movement all the way to how big corporations talk about it today. Now, the methodological review changes the game a bit. It doesn't care so much about what researchers found, but how they found it. You're putting the research methods themselves under the microscope. You might, for example, compare studies to see if surveys or interviews are better at getting accurate data on what consumers want. And then there's the systematic review. This is like the surgeon's scalpel in your toolkit. It's incredibly precise. You start with a very specific question and then use a super strict, repeatable process to find every single relevant study. The classic example, a review of all clinical trials on a vaccine to get the most complete picture of the evidence possible. And finally, we have the theoretical review. This tool is all about the big ideas, the concepts and theories that are the foundation of a field. You might use it to compare how 2 different schools of thought, like Freudian and cognitive theories, try to explain something like memory repression. Phew, okay, we've seen the whole toolkit. So the million-dollar question, how do you know which tool to pull out? Let's wrap this up with a nice, clear takeaway. This table is basically your cheat sheet. It all comes down to your primary goal. Want to persuade someone? Go for an argumentative review. Trying to build a whole new framework? That's an integrative review. Tracing an idea's journey through time? Historical. See how it works? If you need to evaluate how research was done, that's methodological. Want a comprehensive answer to one specific question? Systematic. And if you're exploring big ideas, it's theoretical. Your goal literally dictates the tool you need. So the next time you're tasked with a literature review, don't feel overwhelmed. Just think about the toolkit. Ask yourself, what's my real goal here? What am I trying to achieve? Because once you know the answer to that, you'll know exactly which tool to reach for to unlock the next big step in your research.